Hi Shay, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Busy, busy, as Nikki told you. It's a hot mess here trying to do things in between meetings, but it's all good. I appreciate you taking some time with me today.
Absolutely. I'm
First,
glad
I
to do
wanted
it.
to show you something that Mattel sent me. My girls are so excited about. I don't know if you can see that. It's probably a little
You
blurry.
know what? It's blurring.
Yeah, hold on. Let me turn my blur off. This thing is a hot mess. Anyways, I really appreciate you taking the time with me today. It's so fun to chat with you, and it's so fun to see Monster High kind of come back around the circle, if you will. So thank you.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, so I'm just curious how you got involved with the Monster High animated series project.
So I got involved with Monster High because I had done quite a bit with Mattel previously. So I worked with Mattel on Polly Pocket and the original DC Superhero Girls. And Monster High was kind of the next phase of our relationship. So really, I was so connected to the property from the beginning and really loved this message of inclusion and empowerment that was intrinsic to the property. And I started with them early on in the development of this new generation. And it's been such a fun ride to be on the Monster High.
That's really cool. And did you have any experience beforehand, or were you a fan of Monster High before you got involved with the project?
Yeah, I knew the property. I'm certainly a little too old for it to have been part of my childhood, but I was aware of the property. And originally, when it launched in 2010, it had made just such a huge splash, not only in the toy world, but in the animation world. So I knew that it was out there. It was so cool. It was definitely, kind of what they call the anti-Barbie for so many kids. It was dark, it was monsters, it was something completely different than had been in the toy aisle before. So I was a fan and I was happy to be involved when I got the chance.
Yeah, that's so cool. I'm also a little bit older than the whole Monster High craze, but my son is 10 and then my girls are 4 and 2. So of course the dolls have been around. My 4-year-old especially, she saw this one come in the mail and she's freaking out. And I'm like, chill, I'll give it to you in just a second. You'll be all right. But that was my next question is what are the biggest challenges in making these characters come to life and, putting them on to this animated series?
With the challenges of, bringing the characters to life, I think one of the challenges is because this is a reboot, it's figuring out what is the kind of core intrinsic DNA of the character that we want to keep and what are we letting go and reconsidering, rethinking for this new generation. So there's certainly a lot of decisions to be made there. I think that's one of the most fun parts. It has its challenges, but it's really, really fun to be able to get in there and figure out the characters, figure out why people love the characters and what's interesting about the characters and how we can refresh these characters, make them feel new and contemporary, and keep all of those things that the original fans love too.
Yeah, I'm sure that allows you to let your creative juices flow, right? And it allows you to bring the characters, the originals back to life, if you will, and then impart some new things in there to kind of further develop them. So that's probably fun. I lack those creative juices, so I enjoy seeing others be able to use theirs so that they can, further their career. So that's awesome. Do you think that we'll see any throwbacks to the first season, like as fans see this?
With season two that's out on DVD now, there's a lot of Easter eggs that we've been planting from the original Monster High. There's, certain posters in the catacombs that you'll see with characters that might be familiar from the original and characters that we'll be bringing back for the first time in G3. So characters like Caddy Noir, that are just have been such fan favorites, and being able to reimagine Caddy for this new generation has been just one of the highlights of the entire process.
It's definitely cool to watch everything evolve over time and to see the changes for sure. Is there a character that you feel like you personally relate the most to?
The character that I relate the most to is always Draculaura because we're both a little type A. We like to be in control of things. As a showrunner, that's certainly one of my strengths is I like being in control. I like having kind of the oversight and being able to fine tune the details. But that can be problematic in other areas of your life, especially sometimes with your relationships, as Dracula tends to find out in her stories of sometimes you just have to let go and let people be who they are. And she's always learning, every step of the way how to, just embrace her perfectionism, embrace those tendencies for good, but also being able to love herself and forgive herself and being able to move on when she needs to.
Yeah, I will have to tell you that that's the one that I feel like I relate to the most for all of the same reasons. I'm also very type A, and so I see a lot of myself in her. So I'm sure that was fun as you continue to develop that character to be like, yeah, that's basically me. I can learn some lessons, right? Like watching that develop over time. So that's so cool.
There's actually one thing that is very specifically me that Dracula dealt with in this season, and it was her missing her fang teeth when she was a little bit older. So I lost my fang teeth when I was 17 years old. They didn't fall out naturally. So
Wow.
that was kind of a very specific personal experience that I brought to Dracula as she was kind of dealing with this embarrassing thing from her childhood and learning how to see the child that she was and being able to realize that she shouldn't be embarrassed about that anymore, that she needs to be able to understand and love that kid and, recognize all the powerful things about herself.
That's really cool. Yeah, I'm sure that was nice to, have that kind of come full circle for you, right? You're like, I had
Yeah.
totally experienced that in my childhood. Well, your teen years, really, at 17. Wow, that's interesting. My niece had her fang teeth come in first before any other teeth.
Really.
And so for a
So
while we were like,
opposite end
yeah,
of the
yeah, it
spectrum.
was the complete opposite. It was really funny. She was so cute with it. And so we just went with it and we're like, Jade, you're so adorable with those two little teeth. The rest came in, but it was so interesting because they usually don't come in like that. So that's really cool. My final question for you today is what do you hope that viewers get out of watching season 2 on DVD, which I've loved seeing so far?
With the season two stories that are now out on DVD, I think one of the things that we really wanted to impart to viewers is this, continued inclusion and empowerment of our characters. So the characters, of course, intrinsic to the DNA of Monster High is that our freaky flaws make us fabulous. We want to show that these things that make us different, the things that we feel that make us different, if it your teeth falling out at the wrong time or growing in at the wrong time are things that are actually uniquely you and should really be embraced and loved. And these friendships that make that all possible.
I love that. I definitely have seen that come through as I have watched the season 2 episodes. And so that's super cool. I know that kids will relate and they'll like to see these characters come to life and continue to evolve. So, again, Shay, I thank you for your time today chatting with me and your flexibility as I sit in my car in between meetings.
Absolutely.
So, I appreciate that.
Great. Thank you so much, Olivia. It's great
Thank
to talk
you.
to you.
You as well.